This
Good morning,
conference will
everyone,
now be recorded.
and thank you for coming today to the Public Information Education Committee meeting of West Basin, May the 13th, 11 a.m., and it's now 1 minute after 11. And we see here that we do have a quorum. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. And Mr. General Manager, do we have any public comment?
Chairman Williams, no, we have not received any requests for public comment today.
And item number 4 is presentations. Do we have any?
We do not have any presentations today.
Okay, then that takes us to our action calendar. And it looks like we have a couple of items. So I am giving control of this part of the agenda to you, Mr. General Manager.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Williams, Director Houston, members of the board and public and all the staff that are on here. Good morning. We do have 2 action items today on the agenda. The first one is item 5A. And 5A pertains to our conservation partnership agreement with the South Bay Cities Council of Governments, who help us with outreach opportunities and generally maximize our exposure for West Basin programs. And we're going to leave this presentation in the very capable hands of Mr. Gus Mesa, the Senior Water Policy and Resources Analyst. Good morning, Gus. Can you please present for us?
Good morning. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Let me get to my slides here. Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chairman Williams, committee and board members. It's nice to see you this morning. I'll be covering our important partnership with the South Bay City Council of Governments, as Patrick mentioned, and I also do want to mention that we have a couple of people here from the South Bay COG. We have Grace Farwell, she's the Senior Project Manager, and we have Martha Segovia, she's the Environmental Services Analyst too. And so we have them here. And in case we have any questions, Grace is here to help us answer those. Next slide, please. So West Bay City contracts annually with the South Bay COG to assist West Basin staff with promoting and implementing various conservation programs. Our current agreement is set to expire this June 30th. And so West Basin, as you know, has maintained this important partnership with the South Bay COG since 2006. So quite a while. They've been assisting and doing great work for West Basin. Their staff, they provide additional opportunities for the district, and they help maximize our programs for West Basin. I'll be providing greater detail on their accomplishments, and for these reasons, staff is seeking board authorization for a new 1-year agreement for this next fiscal year in the amount of $185,804. Next slide, please. For those of you who are not too familiar with the South Bay City Council of Governments, and I think most of us are, they're a joint power authority made up of 16 cities and county of LA areas within the South Bay area. You can see the map there. In 2006, they received support from the California Public Utilities Commission to form water and energy partnerships to promote the water and energy nexus. They currently have formal partnerships with several agencies, including the gas company, Southern California Regional Energy Network, called the SoCal REN, West Basin, of course, the Water Replenishment District, sanitation districts of Los Angeles County, LA County Metro, the City of Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, and the Torrance Water Department. So they also assist them with outreach, attending events, and different functions. Next slide, please. West Basin staff oversees and manages the annual contract with the South Bay COG and provides direction to their staff. Due to COVID-19, staff work closely with the South Bay COG to modify and pivot many of West Basin's programs for the current fiscal year. For example, they work with staff on our new pilot Rain Barrel Home Delivery program. They develop the registration process. They're managing the database of customers. They're coordinating with the delivery, the Rain Barrel delivery vendor, and they're staying in contact with the residents. So that's just one example of how they were able to assist us this fiscal year during COVID. Next slide, please. For the current fiscal year, as I mentioned, the South Bay COG has assisted West Basin with, well, as you can see here, this is the task for this current fiscal year, where they assist us with educational outreach support, support for our webinars. They assist us with our Cash for Kitchens program, the Green Business Assist program, which I'll talk a little bit more about, the Change and Save for Disadvantaged Communities program, and overall marketing for all our programs. Next slide, please. Here we show a table of their current accomplishments. We've been able to work with the COG over the years to develop metrics, certain amount of tasks that they would assist West Basin with. They do also have a dedicated phone line over at the South Bay COG. They did form the South Bay Environmental Services Center, where they answer the phone calls, so through March 31st, they answered 320 phone calls on behalf of West Basin and the assisted residents with our various programs. They answered questions, for example, the Cash for Kitchens program. They assisted them on how to participate, how the program works, how to apply for the $500 clothes washer rebate, and then also for the Cash for Kitchens program, they assist businesses and restaurants. And so they answer a lot of phone calls. They really assist our residents in our communities over at the South Bay Center. They also attended a combination of 96 webinars, meetings, and promoted West Basin. We did attach, we have several attachments to this board memo on the budget and all the meetings that the South Bay COG attends. So we did provide the committee with a lot of information on what they're doing for West Basin. We also work with our public information department closely to send out e-blasts on various programs that we have, our classes, to over 20,000 residents. They have a very large list of residents that they've accumulated, and it keeps growing every year. They keep adding to it every year from all the events and information they collect from residents. And they also have promoted over 11 educational webinars on our behalf. Next slide, please. As mentioned, they worked with staff to develop our pilot Rain Barrel Home Delivery program. Even during the pandemic, they were able to provide 21 restaurants and kitchen food facilities with water efficiency devices that they've mailed out to them. I mentioned that they assist with the Change and Save program, and for the Green Business Assist program, they currently have 244 businesses enrolled. This is where they reach out to small and medium-sized businesses throughout the South Bay to promote the water and energy programs from all the partners, the gas company, our programs, and so that list keeps growing as well. So that's what the Green Business Assist program is. And pre-COVID, they would go out and meet with businesses to talk about our programs. So we hope to get back to that someday as well. Next slide, please. As mentioned already, West Basin was very successful with our classes, implementing those. Here you can see the list of 11 different virtual classes that the South Bay COG assisted us with, e-blasting information out. We had tours of the plant, as you can see here. I'm not going to read them all, but we had firescaping webinar, Earth Day event there. As you can see, they helped get the information out to throughout our service area. They also placed information on their website, on their newsletter. They were able to promote throughout the year information in their newsletter, and they also reached out to all their local city contacts who are members of the South Bay COG and provided information about our programs. Next slide, please. There was one event in March. The city of Hawthorne held a Earth Day event on March 27th, and the South Bay COG representative, Martha, who's on the call here, thank you, Martha, was out there representing all the partners. And there were over 200 vehicles that participated, and they stopped at each vendor booth where they were provided information in a safe manner, as you can see here. So usually, as you know, in past years, they attend over 100 events, and we provide photos throughout all the cities that the events that they attend. But due to COVID, they weren't able to do that. But there was one event that we could showcase here. Next slide, please. Staff did want to provide more details on the budget. This is their current contract. You can see the tasks that we show here. We do have flexibility in the contract to move funding around where we need additional resources. For example, the Change and Save program, there was more assistance that was needed for residents for that program, but we stay within the contract amount, and currently there's a 35% budget remaining as of this was as of March 31st. So we are on track to complete the tasks and the budget. Next slide. For the new agreement, the South Bay COG will continue to assist with many of the same successful programs and also provide greater assistance with the Cash for Kitchens and the Change and Save program. Next slide. Throughout the year, staff has met with the South Bay COG staff to plan for this next fiscal year programs and activities. They will continue to assist residents and also providing information, as you can see here, emailing about our webinars and our future classes, assisting with our Cash for Kitchens program, and our Change and Save program, which we show that are both grant funded there. We do have grants, and we're able to utilize funding for Metropolitan Water District as well through our member agency administered program agreement that we have with MWD to fund these two tasks here at the bottom. Next slide. Under this category, educational outreach support for our programs, the South Bay COG will invoice West Basin monthly for all the work they do answering phones, taking RSVPs, tabling events, once that begins again, promoting our water bottle filling station, outreaching to the South Bay COG governing board, their steering committees and working groups. They provide our information to those committees. So this funding category will cover other West Basin activity requests that are not covered in our specific programs that we would like for them to assist with throughout the year. Next slide. West Basin has budgeted funding for the South Bay COG to assist staff with developing and implementing webinars for the Cash for Kitchens, Change and Save, and other programs. This will be invoiced on a time and material basis as the work is conducted. The South Bay COG was instrumental in assisting staff, as I mentioned, in developing our rain barrel home delivery program, and they will assist with customer. So they're going to be assisting with customer service, I mentioned earlier that they're going to provide a little bit more assistance with Cash for Kitchens and with Change and Save. And so because our contract is ending with our vendor, Allegra Consulting, on June 30th, so we're transitioning over to our website and working with the South Bay COG to continue providing information, surveys, and kits for the Change and Save program. Next slide, please. And for the Cash for Kitchens program, our contract with Green Media will be ending this fall. Therefore, the South Bay COG will be taking on a little bit of a larger role with the Cash for Kitchens program. They will continue to assist the businesses. They'll be mailing out, as you can see here, some of the tasks. They'll be mailing out small kitchen devices, the kitchen sink spray nozzle, the under the sink flow restrictors. So they're going to be doing that for us. And also we'll be utilizing our funding from MWD, as you can see here, grant funded at the bottom for this task. Next slide. And so these are the last two programs. I think I jumped ahead for the Change and Save program. I apologize, but I talked about that with some of, you can see here the tasks they'll be completing for this program. And also I do list the Green Business Assist program, where they'll be reaching out to businesses throughout our service area. And so you can see the total amount of the budget here. And the executive director for the South Bay COG, Kim Fuentes, she made a good point that for roughly 1.5 full-time employees, the cost $185,000. We do get a team of support from the South Bay COG, South Bay Center of about 10 employees who assist us from developing the registration on the website, outreach, events. So I did want to mention that. Next slide. So for your fiscal impacts, funds for this contract are included in the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. As mentioned, staff will be utilizing outside grant funds and MWD funding for the Cash for Kitchens program and the Change and Save tasks. The contract will be for $185,804. But once once West Basin receives reimbursement from MWD, the actual cost to West Basin is $125,425. So that funding from Metropolitan is assisting staff to or West Basin to be more cost effective with this agreement. Next slide. The recommendation is that the board authorize the general manager to enter into a conservation partnership agreement with the South Bay City Council of Governments to promote and implement West Basin programs for 1 year from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 for an amount not to exceed $185,804. I know I covered quite a bit in this presentation, so at this time I can take any questions or comments you may have. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gus. Very good report there. Director Houston.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Gus. And hi, Grace. Nice to see you. And Martha, very nice to see you and virtually meet you. I don't think we've met before. I guess I do have one question, but I will just start with a statement. This has been such a long-standing partnership. You all have done such a wonderful job for the district. You know how much I value that personally. And I always enjoy it when I run into you all at our events and functions that you staff so well. And in my area, that's just part of my area, because other parts you're not in the service area. So anyways, I just want to say thank you so much. And the other thing I did have a question on, because now as we are starting to get back to some sense of normalcy, what are you all hearing out there from different parts of the community about these types of functions where we might start having booths and activities?
Is that a question? Oh, go ahead, Grace.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to say at our steering committee meeting this past Monday, we did have a few of our cities start mentioning 4th of July events. And I know in Lomita, you know, they have their Founders Day event. So I think they're starting to slowly come back to doing events, but I think we're all kind of waiting too to see what happens after June 15th, which is when, you know, potentially the governor is going to open us up and no masks. And so, I mean, we're ready. Our staff is ready to go. I'm ready to work on a 4th of July weekend. And I miss seeing our directors out there. I really miss seeing you all as well.
You're just saying that. You're just saying that.
No, I'm not.
Just kidding. No. Grace, we all know. Yeah. I love when I run into you guys and your team. No, you're right. I did hear recently some of the July 4th events are starting to be talked about, both in our area and in points just north of us on the west side. So anyways, I just know that once things do start getting back to normal, you guys will be out there. And I also know that you work really well with our staff, having the right materials at the booth, having the right mix, and you guys get really good feedback from the folks that show up that you provide to us, because I think that's really valuable. You're always out there on the street, if you will, and you hear what they're asking for, you know what the popular programs are, and I think that's a really big resource. So I would just make sure with everyone involved to please continue logging and bring that feedback back to like Gus and the team, so they know you know what really is resonating with folks with our rebate programs and such, and what we really promote and push. And like I say, I'm really excited that we're going to start getting back out in the community. I think that people have missed us and we've missed them. So, so I'm very supportive of continuing this relationship. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And hi, Grace.
Hello, Director Williams. It's very nice to see you too.
I haven't seen you in a long time.
No, it's been way too long.
Yes. And I just want to say to you both, to the COG, that it would not be possible, in my opinion, for us to do what we do as we do through you folks if you weren't there for us. You've always been there, and I think this is a money well spent that we spend with you folks, and I would recommend that we continue to do that this year. So I would recommend that we move this item forward to the board, and I would be looking to my colleague to concur.
Yes, I concur. Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very
Mr.
much.
President, Mr. President,
Director Gray.
thank you. Grace and the young lady there, and all of you can't see me, but I did want to say hello. Look forward to seeing you again one of these days when it's safe. And you did mention the June 14th or 15th date that the governor will come back with some of the guidelines. So everything is possible. But I wanted to say that, you know, absolutely, I agree with the president when he mentioned the fact that, you know, I think our programs could not have been successful if we did not have the partnership with the COG in West Basin. We have great staff because it's done a great job, and all the others at West Basin with implementing our programs, but the partnership with COG, and certainly you have been an asset out there in the community because I've been with you at different events and how people embrace you in the community and trust you, and you play a key role in representing the COG. So I just wanted to say that I look forward to the continued relationship, and thank you for what you do, and thank you, Gus, for that wonderful presentation and staff this morning. And Gus is the face of West Basin on all those programs out there. And thank you, Gus, for what you do, and everyone. Thank you, Gus.
My red face now.
Director Deere.
Yes, I just wanted to
You're
mention
great. Thank you. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I concur with what's been said by my colleagues. The South Bay COG started originally as the South Bay Councilmen's Association 50 years ago when I was president, and it morphed into the COG in a much more organized and worthwhile organization. And I think you're having an installation dinner. Is it Saturday night? The COG, because I've been invited to it. Mark Warnick, who is a former mayor of Lomita and also a former center on my football team that I coached at the park years ago, is going to be the new president. So I'm going to be going to that virtually. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else?
Well, if it's okay, I would just like to thank West Basin for the wonderful relationship we have had over the last more than a decade, going on our second decade, because we really value the relationship that we do have, and we really enjoy working with West Basin staff because they're, easy to talk to, easy to get information to, easy to get information from. And we are just really thrilled to be out there promoting all of the West Basin programs.
No,
So
thank you. Thank you. And again, as I said, this is money well spent, and we are moving this forward to the board for approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Thank you, and thank you, Grace and Margaret, for joining us today. Appreciate it. Yeah, our second item on the action calendar today pertains to our Water Harvest Festival and the format it will be conducted in this year, considering all of the circumstances. And we had some discussion about this back on April 8th and some subsequent comments about it at different meetings. And we were asked to bring back from, I think, the April 8th meeting, what would a one-day virtual event look like? So we have our public information specialist, one, and general water harvest festival expert, Melissa Buendia, here to give us this presentation. So Melissa, can you walk us through what you have on the what is the action calendar today? Thank you.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Patrick, for the introduction, and good morning, committee chair, members, and board members. So with just a little bit of background, West Basin typically hosts its annual Water Harvest Festival in October as an opportunity to educate the public about local and regional water issues, introduce the community to West Basin programs, as well as available resources, and of course, provide tours of the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility in El Segundo. Additionally, staff typically goes out to procurement processes, and event planning begins during the spring season each year in preparation for the signature event that typically takes place in the fall. And last year, due to the pandemic, the district decided to cancel the festival in an abundance of safety for not only the community members, but the staff that volunteers to staff the event. And as Patrick mentioned, during the April 8th Public Information and Education Committee meeting, staff was asked to circle back with more details about a virtual one-day event with fun, family-friendly activities. So I will be providing a sample of what an online event of that nature can look like, as well as including some budget estimates to help the board decide on the direction that the event will take place this year. So I will then, after those two sections, I will read out the staff's recommendation for the board to consider. So scrolling down a little bit on packet page 52, the virtual online format recommendation. So for a one-day virtual event, staff recommends a 2-hour live-streamed event comprised of 3 to 5 family-friendly and educational activity segments with hired assistance from an event production company that specializes in virtual or online events. And to address the request from last month's committee meeting, as well as some comments from the board meeting, the following is a sample of what a 2-hour online version of Water Harvest could look like. So I'm starting with event opening and orientation. This can include a pre-recorded message from the board of directors, as well as the general manager, to provide a brief orientation to the event platform, provide program highlights, and give announcements about how attendees can participate in some giveaway items or prizes. So this video is something that can be revisited at any time during the event to act as a guide for guests to navigate the platform that we would be presenting to them. And then following the event opening messages, we would commence with live virtual program activities. So after opening remarks, these approximately 15 minutes sessions throughout the 2-hour event can begin, and guests can choose the type of sequence or type of event they want to participate in. And this type of live streaming of these sessions can allow for the opportunity of live engagement with our community members, which I know is a very important aspect of the event itself. So some examples, you can scroll to packet page 53. Some of these examples could be an interactive show hosted by Discovery Cube to cover where your water comes from, followed by a song and dance activity, maybe also hosted by Discovery Cube. I know that over the years, Discovery Cube has provided a number of different types of water-related stage shows that we have used over the years at our in-person events. Another popular activity could be a presentation on drought-proof animals, or reptile show. Again, another very popular booth that's typically very crowded during our in-person events. Everyone wants to see the reptiles and the lizards and snakes and things like that. So that would be a fun activity that we could incorporate in a virtual setting. And then followed by another very popular program that was offered in our 2019 water harvest from our UC Master Gardeners group, growing a water thrifty plant. So during our in-person event, we would have folks come in and do a planting of a little seedling. So we can teach folks how to properly plant a seed or seedling in a similar fashion, just in a virtual format. And of course, we don't want to forget our live virtual tour of our water recycling facility hosted by West Basin staff, and that would be approximately 30 to 45 minutes per session. We can potentially offer 2 options or 2 opportunities to participate in a live tour of our facility based on the format that we've been using successfully in our education programs. And with those back-to-back interactive opportunities, we would then close with about 5 minutes of statements from our board again and our general manager, and some announcements for our giveaway items or prizes for the group. And that's kind of a sampling of a very preliminary look at what a 2-hour live stream event can look like. And of course, the length and order and type of program will vary depending on vendor availability, capabilities to do live virtual adaptations of their programs. And staff's next steps would be to outreach to a number of our educational vendors that the district has worked with in the past to gather that information of availability and capability, as well as of course their quotes for their services. So I just wanted to pause here if there were any questions from the committee members and board before I move on to the next section. So I'm happy to take any questions or comments if there are any.
Director Houston.
No, I have no comments or questions this time. I'll wait till the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Any other board member out there? Okay, we can move on.
Okay, great, thank you. So in the next section, the budget section, I just wanted to give a little bit of a level of some of the estimates that have been made. So the proposed Water Harvest Festival budget for the upcoming 2021-2022 fiscal year is approximately $85,000, more specifically $84,500. And when putting together this estimate or this proposed budget, it considered a mixture of in-person elements as well as virtual elements. So incorporating a higher cost for in-person event production company contracts, and as well as considering some unknown costs that come along with a COVID accommodating in-person environment for staff and attendees, as well as a more robust virtual platform with extensive features leaning towards a more scaled up version of the event. So when you have more features, it equals to a higher cost. But for the option of hosting a 1-day, approximately 2-hour event like the one that I just sampled, as discussed, the budget would need to accommodate for the following. So the procurement of an event production company that specializes in facilitating online events, as well as contracts with educational stage show vendors, as I mentioned. Of course, promoting and advertising the event through digital and print placements in district-wide publications, printing materials for any minimal flyers, printing that we would want to do, as well as any marketing materials or printed branded materials, and some additional expenses of potential courier costs, things like that, any miscellaneous costs that come along with some of these event production planning processes. So with all of those items in mind, the event total estimation for the recommendation that staff has presented today would actually, we're estimating it to range between $62,000 to $65,000. So it's actually a cost savings potentially of $20,000 of what is actually proposed for the upcoming fiscal year budget. And with that, staff does recognize that the turnout for an online event would be less than an in-person event, and it is difficult to predict, and we do recognize that this does impact per capita costs. So staff is actually setting a target goal for around 300 attendees for this type of event. With that in mind, though, staff would strive to keep costs down by focusing in on the essentials and the elements necessary to host an event at the high quality that the district is used to hosting. And so with that, I will pause again for any questions from the board before reading out the recommendation.
Yeah, go ahead and read the recommendation.
Okay, great. So the recommendation is that the board authorizes staff to move forward with a one-day virtual event and begin the procurement process for an event production company that specializes in virtual events.
Okay, thank you very much. Very nice report. And really, I think we have enough information here to consider something. So we'll start with Director Houston.
Sure. Thank you, Melissa. I do have a question, and I'd like to hear staff's input on this. So as many places are now reopened, including like Disneyland and all kinds of theme parks and outdoor places and, places that can have a lot more people and a lot more difficulty in how they manage that. I'd like to know how we can propose having a virtual event in the fall.
Wait a
don't
minute,
know if
I don't understand that question.
Well, my question is this, I'll rephrase it. So again, you all understand, you're reading the news, you see the papers, Disneyland and other places are reopening, not just in California, but across the country. So we have a potential event in October, not even right now, not even next 3 months. I'm just asking staff, or maybe Patrick, how can the staff recommend to this board doing a virtual event in the month of October?
Yeah, I can answer that question now that I understand what you're asking. Yeah, we do read the papers. Everybody is looking at what's going on and waiting for the official direction, from the governor. As far as us comparing us to Disneyland, I don't think that's a valid kind of comparison. We do this once a year event. We got input from the board, the committee last time, and it was the 3 board members were very clear that they didn't feel an in-person event would be safe from where we stand right now, or necessary to take any risk. And Disneyland, of course, and all of those places are opening with great reductions in the amount of people they're letting in, and with all kinds of things. So they're really apples to oranges. So this is really a recognition, I'd say, out of an abundance of caution, and to ensure we don't incur any risk. And we need to make a decision now of what we're going to do to plan whatever event it is. So yeah, following the input from the board members and what's happening, not listening to things anecdotally, but what actually is happening, and not just here, and some of the surges and other things that are happening in other places where we're still in a pandemic as we stand. I hope to God that we're all out of it by October, but there's no certainty of that. But we need to start planning now. That's my best assessment for you, Director Houston.
Okay, thank you. So I just make 2 more comments. One is obviously things are moving very fast in the state of California, including, yes, June 15, whatever the governor decides. Things keep changing daily. And I will say this much right now. As I'm sitting at my desk, I just got an email that says the CDC is announced today that vaccinated people can return to normal life. So you're probably going to hear all this news in the next few minutes about that. And of course, how will the state of California react and how will LA County react? So I don't have anything else to say at this moment. I'd love to hear what my other colleagues say before we discuss how it moves forward. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director Deere? You're muted.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think we need an abundance of caution, and I think we should continue on with the recommendation as the staff has given us. That's all.
Okay. And Director Gray?
I agree. I think we have to plan now. We can't plan based on what could change in the future. And I know that based on what is happening right now, we have to be cautious. And I think that's why the majority of the board supported for staff to come back with a plan to do the virtual. And so because of that, we need to move forward with that because of the time frame. So I continue to support the virtual one.
Thank you very much. I too, and let me tell you why. The organizations that are going forward with the big comeback with the public, these are profit-driven organizations. They have to answer to investors. They have to pay people for what they do. That's why they need to make a profit for what they do. We don't do that. We are a nonprofit organization. What we do is a public service. And the money, if we were making it, we wouldn't put that money into the pockets of the investors. We would put that money back into the programs of our organization, which is a special district. We are a nonprofit organization. So I would err on the side of caution as well, and go with what the staff has recommended. And I just don't see us going. We don't need to do that. Again, we are not a for-profit organization. Nonprofit is what drives us, and we are service-oriented. So I would move that we move this forward to the board.
Okay, I'm going to respond just to say I understand we are not a for-profit organization. Obviously, what we do is a community service. But when you hear about other festivals, other potential things going to happen, especially if I'm hearing that maybe even 4th of July fireworks might happen in some safe capacity, and other outdoor events put on by nonprofits and cities and other organizations. And again, we're talking about October. We're not talking about even July. So I do not agree with the recommendation. I do not support the staff recommendation. So I would say we move it to the board without a recommendation, and the 5 colleagues, we can all 5 discuss at the board meeting and take a vote. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Not a problem. We can do that. Staff, you heard.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will move that to the board without a recommendation for May 24th.
Thank you.
It will be on the action calendar again.
Okay. Next item.
Okay, Chairman Williams, that let's see, that concludes our action calendar. We move to our information calendar where we have 4 items. 4 that we traditionally report on at PI committee. The first one, 6A, is our education programs update. And Janelle and Cayenne, hello Janelle, our public information specialist 1, is going to tell us how well our education programs have been working here in the pandemic and how well we're doing. So Janelle, take it away.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And good morning, Chair Williams and members of the board and committee. I will be covering agenda item 6A starting on page 55 of the agenda packet, which provides the committee with follow-up program information requested from the March 11 and April 8 Public Information and Education Committee meetings regarding the water industry careers and guest panel and the Water is Life Student Art Contest. Let's move on to the report overview on page 59, where we will first cover our careers program, and then provide an update of the Water is Life Student Art Contest and conclude with promotional strategies for the 2021 to 2022 school year. Moving on to page 61, where historically West Basin has participated in the Inglewood Airport Area Chamber of Commerce's annual Job Shadow Day. Yearly, West Basin served as a host site and introduced 10 students to water industry careers with a tour of the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility, with the last event in 2016 as pictured here. Let's move on to the next page, where in response to the increasing efforts in the water industry to address diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the need to recruit and train the next generation of water industry professionals, West Basin and the Water Replenishment District partnered and produced a video career series posted on social media and conducted a guest speakers panel session held on October 15, 2020. The goal of this pilot program was to inspire students to consider the diverse and fulfilling career opportunities in the water industry and create lasting video resources to promote those careers. Moving on to the next page, we have an overview of promotion strategies utilized for this program, which include community calendar postings, a press release, social media, paid advertisements, a South Bay City's COG e-blast, educator communications, which include to local educators in high school and local colleges. The next page shows an example community calendar posting from the Culver City Times. You can also see our press release on the right. Moving on to the next page, where we show some West Basin-led social media posts, again featuring our very own Uzi Daniel and Jason Kung right over here. And the following page shows some of our coordinated efforts with WRD, including some reposts and shares of their own social media posts. Moving on to page 67, we have a screenshot of an e-blast from the South Bay City's COG, which went out to their extensive mailing list. So thank you again to Grace and Maggie if they're still on here. Moving on to page 68, where we have a high-level summary of our outreach efforts by West Basin Division. Please note that this is not an exhaustive list, as we reached out to many other school sites and organizations. In Division 1, we reached out to Cal State Dominguez Hills, CAMS, and the Carson Community of Schools. Division 2, we reached out to the Social Justice Learning Institute, Lenox Academy, Inglewood High, Animal High Charter, and LA Southwest College. In Division 3, we reached out to the Manhattan Beach Teen Center, the Lomita Community of Schools, and utilized the Surfrider South Bay Teach and Test Network. In Division 4, we reached out to the Da Vinci Charter Schools, Culver City Unified's College and Career Counselor, and Malibu High Science teachers. And lastly, in Division 5, we reached out to the El Camino College Center, Centinela Valley Union High School District CTE coordinators, and the Gardena Community of Schools. Moving on to page 69 of the agenda packet, the live online panel session was attended by nearly 100 participants, and the recording is available on the district's YouTube page. Again, we were able to reach our primary audience of high school and early college students. If we move on to the next page of the PowerPoint, where we have a more comprehensive participation summary. We actually had the largest turnout from Lawndale High School, but also had a variety of students come from different schools across the region, thanks to the reach of WRD. Going on to page 71, to help accommodate for students and teachers who are not able to attend the live panel, all videos and the recording of our panel are still available on YouTube. And again, these resources are completely free and can be accessed at any time, serving as an evergreen resource to all students who would like to join the water industry. Going on to the next page, I was able to connect with some teachers we did outreach for, but could not attend the October 15 panel. So 2 additional presentations were conducted for about 50 more students. In total, nearly 150 attendees were reached through this program, but this does not reflect the LA Trade Tech Tour we just conducted yesterday for about 11 students, in which we framed the tour to have a heavy emphasis on potential career options in the water industry. Lastly, this career program continues to serve as lasting resources that can be used as part of the district's media library. Moving on to the next page, where we have an example of 2 screenshots from the Nationwide Water District Jobs e-newsletter that featured our video interviews of Uzi and Jason. So got a great reach from that. So again, this program was a pilot and will continue to evolve, especially as schools return to in-person learning and we learn more about their career needs. And we hope to increase access and interest for this topic across the service area, and will continue to update the board and committee for future iterations of this program. Are there any questions before I move on to Water is Life Art Contest?
Director Houston?
No, I have no questions right now. Thank you.
Any others?
Director, President, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes. Did you mention that you interacted with Trade Tech? Did I hear you say that?
Yes, that's correct, Director Gray. We conducted a tour for a LA Trade Tech Process Technology class just yesterday, actually.
Okay, what about Southwest College? Any interaction with that college? Or did you mention that?
Yes, they were included in my outreach list. I did interact with them and they were able to share the panel with their students, but there were no student attendees from LA Southwest College that ended up attending the October 15th panel.
Do you ever, and I don't know if you could even answer this question, trying to get to the fact that, trying to get students interested. I know that you, I assume you make presentations and so forth, but do you ever ask what's the obstacle from students not looking at this opportunity?
Yes, and I could answer to why we didn't have as much turnout in our October 15 panel. It was the beginning of the school year for many students in both high school and college, and it was a difficult time for both teachers and students navigating a new distance learning environment. So a lot of it, they just didn't have flexibility in their schedule. Some students were just Zoom fatigued and couldn't even attend. But for future iterations of this program, we will be working closely with sites like LA Southwest College. We're developing relationships with El Camino College, as well as some high school career technical education programs to minimize those obstacles and make sure we plan a program that best serves their needs.
Are the chambers involved in this program? The chambers with outreach? No, that was the other program, but I'm just trying to figure out how to get more diversity in terms of the responses that you get, because I don't see a lot of diversity there. So that's my issue or my concern, that having a diverse group of young people interested in careers in water. So I just want to offer that. I just want to offer that to you as you kind of figure out moving forward. And thank you for what you do, but there's got to be a way of trying to bring more diversity to the water industry interest. And so I just want to offer that to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Gray.
And by the way, I just want to let you know that Trade Tech is, I'm an alumni of Trade Tech. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Williams. Yeah, we had a great time with Professor Sutton yesterday and his students.
Yes, my colleague.
Thank you, Chair Williams. So moving on to the next page of the agenda packet for a report of West Basin's Water is Life Student Art Contest, which officially closed for submissions on Friday, March 19. Again, we had a number of program changes to help minimize those barriers to participation, notably offering the option of electronic submissions, changing the paper size, and providing live online art lessons to classes. So here we, going on to the next page actually for our program timeline, which has all been completed with the exception of the student artwork presentation taking place in a couple of weeks at the regular board meeting. Moving on to the next page, which shows some of the ways that we promoted this program, including a press release that was picked up by Patch and several other news outlets, as well as several social media posts. We also had several e-blasts to teachers in our service area, and we also focused on providing the free online art lessons to teachers to help support their students' art submission efforts. The next page shows a screenshot of our Art Tip Tuesdays videos, which actually garnered a lot of interest generating over 1.5 thousand views through these 3 videos. Again, these videos were intended to be a resource for students that could not attend a classroom art lesson, but still wanted additional information regarding the contest. Moving on to the next page, where we have the number of students served through our live online classroom lessons. The participation summaries in a few slides will provide further detail on art lesson participation by division, but we did serve over 1,400 students through 60 live online art lessons conducted through Zoom. This photo shows Miss Brown's class from Ambler Avenue Elementary School, again showing off some of the turtles that they drew. Moving on to the next page for a high-level participation summary for the art contest. As you can see, we received 439 submissions and had 86 participating schools. In comparison, last year we received 486 submissions from 62 participating schools. The next page shows a breakdown of submissions by grade level and if it was submitted online or through traditional mail. Here we see the typical trend that we received the most submissions from elementary age students, but we also saw that most of our submissions were received electronically, which is likely a method of submission that we'll move forward with next year also as an option. Moving on to page 82, we have 2 pie charts that are comparing the breakdown of submissions by division between last year and this year. So luckily, if you look at the chart on the right, we see a more equitable outcome of submissions. It looks generally more even across all 5 divisions, but of course we noticed that Division 2 did not have as many submissions as the others, so we will continue to offer additional support to those schools to increase that number next year. We'll be providing additional options for that at the end of this report. And now we'll get into more specific participation summaries for each division. This page has the participation report from Division 1 with 145 submissions from 26 schools. The next page has the participation report for Division 2 with 30 entries from 8 schools. The next page shows the participation report for Division 3 with 91 submissions from 19 schools. Page 86 has the participation report for Division 4 with 108 entries from 19 schools. And the next page has the participation report for Division 5 with 65 submissions from 14 schools. Moving on to the next page for our 15 student winners who were internally selected by West Basin staff. We'll also be able to share our grand prize winners that were selected by the board of directors and program sponsors. So thank you all to the directors and sponsors who participated in the voting process this year. So this page shows our elementary school winners with Stephen Romero of Town Avenue Elementary School in Division 1 selected as our grand prize winner. He's the one in the upper left-hand side. Next page has our middle school winners with Madison Torres of El Segundo Middle School in Division 4 selected as our grand prize winner, the bottom row in the middle over here. And the next page has our high school winners with Lacey Callahan of Bluesinger High in Division 5 selected as our grand prize winner. Again, bottom row all the way on the right. So all 15 award-winning submissions will advance to the Metropolitan Water District's Regional Water is Life Student Art Contest, where selected artwork will be showcased in their 2022 Water is Life art calendar. We will also be using student artwork to support water conservation messaging as we continue to experience drought conditions. And we're very proud of all of our student artists and we'll be recognizing them at the May 24 board meeting. A video featuring our student artists will be shared and each director will have an opportunity to share remarks for the students. Are there any questions for the Water is Life Student Art Contest before I move on?
I see none, thank you.
Great, so let's move on to page 91 and 92 to review some education promotion strategies. And education is a great opportunity to provide equitable experiences for students within our service area, but there are some challenges in increasing participation because of West Basin's unique service area with 14 school districts, each with different needs. So through this, we hope to increase overall participation in all of our programs. So currently, our existing promotion strategies include e-newsletters and e-blasts to our education contact lists, which include teachers, school administrators, such as principals and secretaries, as well as superintendent offices, as well as social media posts, press releases issued to media outlets, and paid advertisements as needed. To further promote West Basin education program participation and broaden participation across the service area, education staff will develop and implement communication strategies for all school districts, especially those that are underrepresented. These outreach strategies will include developing relationships with school district personnel and campus administration to identify internal communication tools and staff meeting schedules to share and distribute education program information, identifying school support groups and their communication tools and networks. This includes PTA groups, campus parent resource centers, and education foundations. We'll also establish relationships with community groups who support youth education and family wellness. This includes city recreation centers, local social service agencies, faith institutions, and youth education nonprofit organizations. We are also looking into offering specific program support to minimize those participation barriers. For example, staff can explore providing free art supplies and submission support at community hubs such as libraries or other after-school programs. This would ideally support students that need additional support for submitting entries into the art contest. We can also work with school sites to offer tailored career programs that best support their already existing career development and curriculum. This will help us engage a diverse group of students and again, meet them where they need us. And as schools reopen, we will also continue to offer live virtual events such as virtual field trips and live online art lessons, which will support students far in the service area that have logistical challenges attending in-person events. And of course, the goal of all of our education programs is to support students and teachers through water-focused education. So we will continue to work with our network and adapt to best serve the changing needs of our service area. Are there any questions on our promotion strategies for education programs?
Directors? Seeing none, go on.
Great. Again, thank you so much for all of your support in West Basin's education programs. We look forward to continuing to update the board and committee regarding these programs, and we'll be providing an overall end of school year report at a later committee meeting. That concludes my report, and thank you so much.
And thank you. Very good. Good report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Janelle. And now that brings us to our second information calendar item for today, which is our, for the month of April 2021, our communications update, a media report. And I believe today, Deanne Blackman, our public information specialist, is going to handle the entire presentation. Welcome, Deanne.
Thank you, General Manager, and good afternoon, members of the board and committee. I'll be covering the communications and media activities that include press releases issued, media coverage, website updates, district e-newsletter, advertising, and ending with social media. So beginning on packet page 96, the district's communications activities from the past month are listed, which include a press release and a news story. The press release is on packet page 97, which was the fire escaping workshop for the Palos Verdes Peninsula. And on packet page 98, the web news story, which is the annual ad, which was repurposed for the West Basin website, which I'll touch on a little bit later in today's presentation. On packet page 99, we have some media coverage from these press releases, or from the press release, and it's listed on packet page 99 and 100, with the actual clips from the coverage being included in the handout beginning on packet page 118. So moving on to packet page 101, this highlights some coverage from Hawthorne Community TV featuring Gus Mesa, where he discusses the district's Change and Save program and water conservation as a drought preventative measure. It aired on April 9th and is also featured on the outlet's YouTube channel. Moving on to packet page 102, we also wanted to highlight the district's spring e-newsletter that was distributed on April 13th to more than 4,000 recipients, with an open rate of 17% and a click rate of 10%. The top stories from this edition include the free rain barrel home delivery, which was the top story. The second top story was the Earth Day story, and then finally the SoFi Stadium Recycled Water Project winning the Excellence Award. So those were the top 3 stories, but other stories included the Urban Water Management Plan preparation, the budget process for the new fiscal year, and recycled water delivery to Torrance Refining Company, as well as spring water lab session announcement. Moving on to packet page 104, we cover the district's annual ad campaign. Each year, West Basin creates and places an advertisement in various outlets throughout the district service area. This year, the district produced an advertorial, Save Water, Money, and the Earth, and the content theme and run dates were timed with Earth Day, which was April 22nd. As you can see here, we added a graphic to the district's homepage, linking to the web news story I mentioned earlier, as well as a social media post. Moving on to packet page 105, you'll see the full picture of where the ad was featured, such as social media, the web news story, which I mentioned, and of course, the print and online ads in various publications throughout the service area. Packet page 106 shows the complete list of publications that the ad was published in. Published ads are included in attachment C. And moving on to packet page 107, as you can see here, this is the artwork. So this, we decided to try a new format for the annual ad this year. Instead of the traditional graphic heavy ad, we opted for an advertorial format, which is a text-driven ad meant to mirror an article. So that is something new that we piloted, and it was well received, we think. We also added it to the website, like I mentioned, as a web news story. Are there any questions about the annual ad before I move on?
This is Director Houston. I don't have a question, but I just have a comment. And I think the content of the ad was good. I know I didn't get to see it all before it was finalized, and the general manager and the president know that. But one thing I did notice after it did go to press was it doesn't have our logo on it. The West Basin logo was nowhere on the ad this year. And I thought that was really unfortunate, since organizations always put their logo. And then the other thing is on the ones that do have the headshots, because this doesn't have the headshots, but it just had our titles of the officer positions, but it didn't have the divisions we represent, which is how we normally do it. So I think that those 2 missing items were unfortunate this year. And I think next year I'd like to see us go back to more of a graphic thing, because this, even when I saw it in some local papers, it just kind of blended in and it really didn't pop out. So it's just a comment. I know it's an experiment, but I think missing the logo, that's a big problem for me. But separately too, I think it should say which divisions we represent.
Thank you for that, Director Houston. And like you mentioned, we did pilot something new, and we are looking to revert back to the traditional design, which is less copy and more graphics. As you mentioned, there are some elements that are different throughout the different ads, and that was something that we kind of ran into as far as like the layouts and the sizing, which is why we are going to be reverting back to the more graphic focus. So just the spacing, the sizing of the various publications, they were so different. So the layout management is something that we noticed during this trial. So even though we do like the idea of putting the content there, we do recognize that the design is something that is going to take a little bit more work. So we are looking to go back to the more graphic heavy one. So thank you for that, because it is something that definitely.
You're welcome, because and I did see all the clips and I saw the different variations, and even on some of the places I look and read, I saw it, and some have pictures, some don't have pictures, and there was a kind of all over the place. So I'm sure you had to play with it, because some have banner ads, some have a sidebar, etc. But one of the things, and again, I think we saw like an early template, but it was so early in the game, and I never really saw the final until the 11th hour. But when I looked at it, I realized the logo was missing. And obviously we all value our logos. Even when I looked lately, what's it called? The Beach Cities Health District, they've been putting out a lot of ads in the local press here, and the logo's everywhere. The same with WRD, of course. So again, that for me is a major faux pas. We need to put our logo in. People know the logo. And number 2, no one really cares if I'm the treasurer or whatever I am, and likewise probably for the other office positions. It's which division we represent, because that's how people know us. So I think that when we do the headshots, we should always have the divisions. Again, just my opinion. I would have probably pointed this out had I seen it in time, but it was too late. So I commend staff on what you did, but I really think it didn't quite come out the best this year, in my opinion. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
understand, Deanne, that this is not a knock on you, but this goes to whoever approve our work that goes out. But because our logo should always be there. And so this goes to who's in charge of that area?
I got
think
this.
the general manager. That's,
Oh,
it's
and
a
I'm
general
happy to
manager.
speak up
That's the
as well.
general manager. That
Okay.
should never, we should never have stuff go out without our, if we can put our logo on there, it should be on there. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Amy, you wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, no, I hear, and I definitely taking note, and yeah, again, we appreciate the ability to play and pilot and try new things and see what works, and we'll take this back. But I agree in terms of the logo being standardized. I will just say this, not in terms of defensiveness or excuse, but just again one of the factors of the new format. It is meant to be an advertorial, so it is supposed to look more blend in with the content and of the paper as a whole. And so I think we opted for kind of more the subtle director names and divisions and West Basin in text as opposed to logo, just to make it look more editorial. So that's one of the factors. But again, we're going to move back toward our more traditional layouts and design. Again, that'll allow us to accommodate all the things we're talking about today. So thank you.
Let me be clear. I'm saying just wherever we can have our logo, it should be there. But if it's not appropriate for the media that we're going into, then of course not. We have to play by their rules. But if we can have that logo is our calling card. So we need to have that out there. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I totally agree. And I will say this, because the logo, it can be built into the graphics, just like what's in front of us right here. All this is graphics. So, I'm just reiterating the logo should have been automatic and built in. And I do also say likewise, if we're going to have the directors, names or faces, what have you, we always put the division. We may put the title, but the division I think is really important. Probably makes it easier in some ways, because putting immediate past president, that's a tight squeeze. So anyways, I thank you very much. And I just think we all know what we should do going forward. And this is also why it's really important that the board members get an opportunity to look at the ad probably once or twice or 3 times like we have in the past, so we can catch these things. This year, there was very little feedback provided to the board until I asked at the end, pushing, it was like near the deadline, and I was asking where it was. And by then, really, it was too late. These things had already been sent to the newspapers. So it was a moot point. So anyways, that's my comments. I think we can do a better job next year. And I'm looking forward to what we come up with. Thank you. And thank you, Amy. Thank you to your team.
And again, folks, please understand that I look at reviewing what you sent out as like being a plan checker. My plan checking days are over. I don't want to be a plan checker. So it's incumbent upon the general manager to make sure that kind of stuff is taken care of. I don't want to review documents before they go out. I don't do that anymore. That was a different life of mine. Okay, so I don't do plan checking. So it's up to the operation, the leadership of the organization to take care of that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any more comments about the annual ad, I'll take them. If not, I will move on to the next slide.
Move on, please.
Okay. So on packet page 108, in addition to the annual ad, we did run a print ad in the Palos Verdes Peninsula News promoting the April 21st fire escaping workshop. We also recently completed some rain barrel home delivery program promotion with La Opinion, which we did in Spanish, and LA Sentinel. That'll be highlighted in next month's presentation. And moving on to packet page 110. I'll share some upcoming opportunities the Pie Department is planning for, which include the announcement of the Water is Life Art Contest winners and the adoption of the district operating budget. Moving on to packet page 112, I'll be highlighting some social media posts for the month, which include West Basin's Facebook vote for the Water is Life Art Contest, which is one of our most popular posts each year. And then the second post is Los Angeles County Supervisor Holly Mitchell shared West Basin's Water Efficiency Workshop for Earth Day from her Twitter profile. And then finally, the third one is the Palos Verdes Peninsula Association of Realtors shared the district's April 21st firescaping workshop on their Facebook page.
That was great.
Moving on to packet page 113, highlighting the individual platforms, the district's Twitter page earned 6,835 impressions and continues to see an increase in followers. And the most popular post was announcing the Water is Life Art Contest Facebook popular vote. So even though the contest is actually on Facebook, its popularity is kind of spread across all of our platforms, which is something that we are happy that we're able to do. Moving on to packet page 114, the district Facebook page had over 98,000 impressions, which we can thank to this Facebook vote, and over 1,000 clicks on the links we post. And the most popular post being the Water is Life Student Art Contest Facebook popular vote. Moving on to page 115, similar to Facebook, the district Instagram page also continues to see gradual increases in impressions as well as engagement with our post. And the most popular post was actually for California Native Plant Week, leading our followers to the district website for plant inspiration and a list of native plants to California. And finally, on packet page 116, the district's LinkedIn page continues to see an increase in followers as we've increased our following in the past month to a total of 932 followers. And the most popular post was closing out Women's History Month with an article about underrepresentation of women in water. So we are seeing some diversity posts that are getting popular, and we are making sure that we highlight industry news that is relevant to our industry and of course diversity as well. So that concludes the media report, and if there are any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
I don't think I have questions. I do have some comments, and they're complimentary comments, Deanne, to you and the team. I mean, I really think you all have stepped it up on the social media outreach. I've seen it, on the different channels. So I just want to say thank you, staff. I commend you for that. I think it's great. And I did happen to see when Supervisor Mitchell had posted that. I thought that was really awesome. She obviously has a huge following, and that it helps so much when we have those other elected officials and folks that represent, like a different dynamic in our region, who are very well respected, helping us to put that out. So, kudos to whoever worked with her and her staff or what have you to make that happen. And also I've seen some of the other cities pushing it out. I think Culver City did, maybe Malibu, and West Hollywood. I think West Hollywood put out some of our stuff too. So, I do want to say great job, staff. I assume too, as summer is hitting and the drought's going to be the biggest topic, you'll probably really be pushing out more of the drought tolerant and some of those types of things, conservation messaging, because that's just going to be what the topic will be, I assume, all summer long. But anyway, for what it's worth, thank you very much. That you guys, you're hitting it out of the park. So thank you.
Thank you very much for those compliments, and it was good to see the logos and all those posts, Deanne. Thank you.
Yes, I want to make sure the logo's there. So yes, thank you. And thank you, Pat. Logo.
That should go without saying. Thank you.
Yes.
Next item.
Okay, our next item, and thank you, Deanne, for that great presentation. Our next item is 6C on the information calendar, and we're switching now to our conservation programs update, where we have our great tag team here of Gus Mesa, our senior water policy and resources analyst, and I think the second part will be complemented by our water policy and resources analyst too, Jennifer Vasquez. So Gus, I think you're going to open up on the conservation program update.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. And good afternoon again, Chairman Williams, committee and board members. I have a few updates on our water efficiency programs, and then I'll be handing this over to Jennifer Vasquez.
What page are we on, please?
I am starting on board packet page 170 under the program highlights section. The first program listed there is the Change and Save program.
Wow, it's pretty deep in there. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. This is a DWR grant funded program that targets our disadvantaged communities. In our contract with our consultant, Allegra Consulting, ends this June 30th. After June, the South Bay COG will be providing additional support, as was mentioned earlier during the action item. And as of this week, Allegra Consulting has conducted 317 online water efficiency surveys out of the 500 and mailed out 280 conservation kits out of 500. And also 121 residents have received the $500 clothes washer rebate. Allegra is on target to meet the 500 surveys and 500 kits by June 30th. As part of this program, Allegra Consulting is working with staff to host several webinars for residents to help them participate in the program. At our April 22nd Earth Day webinar, we had 96 RSVPs, which was really high, and 28 actual attendees, which led to 19 online surveys, 19 conservation kits, and 4 clothes washer rebate leads. Our next water use efficiency webinar will be held on Thursday, May 27th at 6 p.m. These webinars are in addition to all the marketing efforts that are being conducted by West Basin, Allegra, and the South Bay COG. As part of this board memo, staff provided a 2-page attachment to this memo that provides more information on the program metrics and all the marketing efforts that are being conducted. This time I can take any questions, or I can move on.
Hey Gus, can you pause for 1 second? So maybe it's on the pages behind this, but what was the metrics you just said? So how many people came to the event, and then it only led to what, 4 washers?
Yes.
What was that again?
Yes, Director Houston, that was the April 22nd Earth Day webinar. We had 96 RSVPs with 28 actual attendees, which led to 19 online surveys, 19 conservation kits, and 4 clothes washer application leads.
Oh, okay. So 90-something people signed up. This was a virtual event, obviously, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 90-something people RSVP, but how many people actually showed up that day?
28, which was, I agree, it's low, lower than usual. We tend to get sometimes a 50% drop off.
Okay.
This is a bit higher, so we can look into this as well.
Right. What time of the day was it? I mean, I know it's Earth Day. It was a weekday. Wasn't it a weekday this year?
It was Thursday, I believe, and it was at 6 p.m.
Oh, in the evening. Okay. Anyway,
Yes.
so but then what, 19 took the survey?
Yes, they learned about the Change and Save program. They took the online conservation survey. They signed up to receive the conservation kits, and they were also we also assisted them with the clothes washer rebates.
Oh, okay. And then, so the clothes washer rebate, obviously, they do the survey, they get the kit, and then they might want the washer, right? Is that what it is?
Correct.
Okay. So curiosity, of the people who actually apply for the washer, do almost all of them get the washer?
It depends, Director Houston, on because the rebates being offered through MWD SoCal Water Smart program. We had our $415 grant funding to their 85 to make the $500, so they have to follow their guidelines. So if they participated before in a rebate, they wouldn't qualify. There's a few different reasons why they wouldn't qualify, but most of them do qualify.
Okay, okay. One other question you just made me think of then, when they have applied for a different rebate or got a different rebate, what does that mean?
Or if they had purchased a washer, say 10, 15 years ago and received the $85 rebate
Okay,
for a washer, and they're applying again for a clothes washer rebate, MWD doesn't allow that.
right. Okay, so it's specific to that product.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
not like if they got something on a toilet or some other thing. Okay.
correct, correct.
Okay, good. One last question, and maybe it's also in that backup, but how much more money or funding or how many more washers do we have the ability to give away? Or I shouldn't say give away, but have the rebate for? How many more just off of roughly?
The goal is 400 rebates,
Uh-huh.
and so the
we're at
grant would, we are at, what did I mention? 121.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, 121,
We're at
121, and
Okay.
we're almost halfway, Director Houston, and that's one reason we're extending the grant agreement to next year, June
Okay.
2022, to give us more time to get more of those washer rebates out. But we'll be completed with the surveys and the kits for this Change and Save program.
Okay. And this is the one where Allegra's contract's ending,
Correct.
and the COG will pick it up.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And this basically goes for at least what, another year, fiscal year?
Yes. And we're also applying to Metropolitan Water District for additional funding to continue the surveys and the kits district-wide.
Okay. Oh, well, that would be nice. That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. No, you answered all my questions for now, Gus, but thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
that. Okay, great.
You're welcome. So the next update is on our Malibu Smart Topanga Smart program, shown on page 171. This program is 93% complete, and the grant is set to expire this September 31st. So over the next several months, our consultant and our partners, the City of Malibu and LA County Waterworks, will be promoting the device rebates through social media, websites, and emails. And the partners are currently working on a new Malibu Smart, Topanga Smart infographic message that focuses on reaching the program's conservation goals during these upcoming summer months. So we want to emphasize that the program is ending this year and to create a greater sense of urgency for residents to participate. Are there any questions?
You know, I guess I'll just ask my question now, and I won't have to do it later. So I understand, you know, Malibu Smart and Topanga Smart's been an overall great pilot program. It's had a lot of challenges because of the Woolsey fire and then the pandemic. And I mean, this has just been, right, because this has just been constant for this poor project. But you guys have done so well as the City of Malibu and is it the county, right? County
Yes.
participates. So, you know, I want to say thank you very much to all the partners involved. And maybe as it does wind down at some point, we can have a little powwow or something where I can seriously express my thanks. And by the way, the Malibu City Council members are very happy with this too. All right. But this is more a thought ahead of time and question because, you know, ultimately we knew this was going to come to an end. Are you all somehow going to roll out some of the things that we've experienced from that program across the district?
Yes, a part of ending the program, Director Houston, is to develop the lessons learned, what worked, what didn't work, and then also looking at our all our programs to see how we can broaden certain programs like the Change and Save program, going district-wide with that program, and also lots of interest from the LA County conservation person to work with us on promoting programs in Malibu and Topanga. So yes, we will be looking to see what else we can do with our partners there.
Yeah, okay. So just last thing, because I think it has been, again, really, it's been overall a great process to do some things we normally wouldn't get to do because we had this financial ability to do it. And then just like the firescaping class, and then you did that in Palos Verdes. And since we're not going to have this, but you know, another thought I just had is perhaps coming out of all the lessons learned, this might be opportunities where West Basin could maybe put together some sorts of proposals or grant proposals that would go to certain entities, powers that be, like the state. I don't know if the county has programs like this, but where we as a district could maybe put together a package of something we're proposing and see if we can get funding for it. And then it does go across our region, or it is, you know, catered in different ways, because we have a very diverse district. And obviously some people in parts of it are eligible for certain programs and some aren't. But I love us to think about something that we could potentially say, hey, you know, we're creating this and proposing it, rather than we're trying to always go after the money that others are saying, if you do these things, you'll get it. So it's just more a thought. And I think it's a thought that that the staff should have, maybe, you know, in the next fiscal year, what have you. But let's look at opportunities where maybe we package some things that we found work and push it to the state or somewhere and say if they might grant us some funding. And we could be a model for other districts as well, because I think we're very ingenuitive. You guys are really nimble, and you put up with a lot of different things. I mean, the cash for kitchens goes up and down. Obviously the change and save. So I want to say, I know it's difficult. So I do commend you all. We have been really, really flexible and nimble. And we've also looked at what didn't work, and we've tried to cancel it out. So anyway, Gus, you and your team are very well respected in the communities. And I know for sure up in the areas of Division 4. So, but I think we can take our lessons and maybe utilize that to do even broader, bigger things for the district, and keep West Basin, you know, very much point of mind on innovative programming. So thank you for that, Gus.
Great, thank you. Great input. Thank you. I will keep going. I did want to briefly mention the firescaping webinar on page 171. It was very successful. It was held April 21st during Earth Month. We had 180 RSVPs, which is extremely high, 180 RSVPs for one of our webinars, and 90 residents attended. So there's that 50%, which was huge. It was great. I do want to thank Melissa Buendia, Matt Vey, and Jennifer Vasquez, and Amy and the team. They all did a great job putting this webinar together, along with our instructor, Douglas Kent, and Director Williams. Thank you for attending and welcoming the guests. We heard a lot of great comments from this webinar in Palos Verdes, so thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
And welcome. And my last program to cover is our Rain Barrel home delivery program. So we currently, let's see here. So as of today, we have 521 registrations with 827 rain barrels being requested. And so far, our vendor has delivered 604 rain barrels, with more scheduled for next week. So in an effort to increase the numbers in divisions 2 and 5, our public information department was successful in placing ads, social media through the LA Sentinel and La Opinion. So we're tracking those numbers to see if those will go up. Yeah, our goal is to complete this program by early June. So we are on track with this pilot program, and we plan on coming back and providing some information about lessons learned. And we do have this program budgeted, Chairman Williams and directors, for next fiscal. So staff would like to provide the committee, some information, some options about continuing the home delivery program, or doing some type of other events at our sites. We have West Bay ECL, Carson. So that's, if you like, if the committee would like, we could develop some options here over the next a month or two to bring back on this program. We can talk about what worked with the home delivery program, which I think was so far it's been very successful. And then we could talk about, if you like, some other options.
Yes, I would. I hate for the having the rain barrel distribution event. I don't want to see that go away. I mean, that was such a tremendous community outreach thing that I'd hate to see that go away. So if that's, and the sooner we can get back to that, to me, is better than anything else we could do. Director Houston.
No, I fervently agree. I think this was excellent under the circumstances. You know, we could have not given away rain barrels this year. So by the way, and that's why I did ask for, let's track these numbers, because I wanted to see how we're doing. And you guys have done a really tremendous job getting these numbers where you need to be. Like when I saw where it was hitting in, Director Williams' division and my division, where we're hitting kind of that 200 give or take range, because we all know it's like we're trying to be pretty equitable here. Then you know that, okay, the message is getting out the right way to those folks. So I commend you for that. By the way, I have a friend who actually lives in Director Deere's district. He sent me a photo when his rain barrels showed up, and they look great. So it is out there. I'm really, really happy about it. But I would say, just like Director Williams, President Williams, we, doing the events in person is the best way to go. They're fun. We get to work with a nonprofit that gets some compensation out of it and helping us, so that's tremendous. And people really enjoy it. And honestly, I think this probably was a lot of work, right? Because you had to go out and find some contractor and people deliver these and on and on and on. So I say that I think that's fabulous for 1 year, but I would love this fall or winter, we're going to be back having the event in person, because the other thing, we have the places to stage it. We know how to do it. And we all have good nonprofit partners that love to help us out. So that would be what I would like to see as well.
Okay. Thank you for that input. Appreciate it. So, so staff will bring back information on lessons learned and some options. One thing we don't want to get ahead of the board or management on. I know you can have some meetings, bringing staff, back to the office and all. So we don't want to get ahead of that, but we will bring back some options to the committee.
Thank you, Gus. We'll follow up on all the items from today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Patrick. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Jennifer.
Great, thank you so much, Gus. Good afternoon, President Williams and members of the committee and board. I will continue at the bottom portion of board packet page 172 with an update to the grass replacement rebate section. So staff, of course, has included the rebate application table at the top of the board packet page 173. Please note that these are the totals beginning in the fiscal year with applications received from July 1st, 2020. So a total of 11 applications were received in the month of April, reaching a total of 67 applications received this fiscal year so far. There's definitely great interest in the grass replacement program, and we are happy to see that the application numbers are increased during this month after seeing a few of the lower activity months. For March, for example, we only received 4. So we're glad to see, and I think it is a sign of springtime. And of course, this program is year round, but we do see kind of a jump in applications during this time for that kind of excitement for spring. So that's good to see. As of March 2021, West Basin was billed for completed projects through Metropolitan's monthly invoice in the amount totaling $103,074, which is a recent update to the number you are seeing in the board packet, so don't be alarmed. Those were the February numbers there. And then right below, we did, of course, include the application table, which includes a summary image of the Metropolitan conservation activity as updated in the April joint meeting of the Water Planning and Stewardship Committee and Local Resources Committee. It's a long long title there. We hope to continue promoting the grass replacement rebate to continue seeing the level of application activity that we are seeing for grass replacement. And we want to continue encouraging residents. Director Houston, your comments were spot on. As we go into the summer months, we hope to continue promoting the grass replacement program for climate appropriate landscaping in our service area. And that's very encouraging to see. Moving into the grass replacement class section at the bottom of board packet page 173, additional dates were added to increase the available classes that are now available in English, Spanish, and Mandarin for all of the 3 current topics. So these include turf removal, the garden design workshop, and the California friendly native plant landscape class. Additional dates are listed below in the look ahead calendar, with the latest updates included in the Be Water-Wise website link, which is specified also in this board packet within this section. You see it there at the last bullet. If you're ever interested in checking that website link, it includes the most up-to-date class dates as well. But we made sure to include that in the look ahead calendar. So I will take a brief pause to answer any questions regarding the grass replacement program updates before I move on to Cash for Kitchens.
Director Houston.
Sure, just one question. Remind me again at the bottom of the table on grass replacement, Jennifer, that the total number of square feet removed, the 112,121 at the top of this page in front of us, is that, when was that instilled? When did that start again?
The start of this table is July 1st, 2020, the fiscal year.
Okay, so we've taken out, wow, you're right, okay. So we've taken out over 112,000 square feet of turf since just last July.
Yes, these are applications received. There is also that bullet point that I mentioned about what we have directly been billed by Metropolitan, and that directly reflects what checks residents are receiving for completing the work. So this table really shows, can include some of that because those are applications that we received. Some are potentially still completing their project, but ultimately, yes, this is from the beginning of the fiscal year, the activity for applications that we received for residents that are either in process, are close to finishing, or are paid out. That's kind of, this includes all of that activity there in that table.
Excellent, very nice. And I see it looks like Metropolitan is, not running short on any funding for the moment, right? It looks like they're pretty well in the green. So we should be good going into next fiscal year. Our residents can keep applying and not worry that the money's going to run out anytime soon.
That's correct. Yes, we continue checking the remaining funds for turf replacement specifically, which has the allotted amount there. And yeah, so going into the next fiscal year, we are having that conversation now with budget as far as what that looks like for turf replacement and how we continue promoting the program into the next fiscal year, which we have that additional dollar for in the West Basin service area, based on the approval of the board, of course, with the budget.
Very good. Well, I would just say this, I think that we have done a tremendous job at West Basin taking out turf, and I know that that's been some of the discussion lately with some of the directors, is that it's probably one of the most important things we can do in our service area. And so now that the drought is increasingly one of the #1 issues in the state of California, I think it gives us all the impetus in the new fiscal year that this program probably somehow gets some of the most attention through our outreach efforts and also the classes, I think, because those help, right? They supplement it. But again, residents forget that these exist. So I'm pretty good, when I do presentations or I talk to people or what have you, I always remind them it's still there. And I've seen you guys have been putting it out on social media here or there. That's excellent. And now look, winter's over, rain barrels are kind of over. We've got the virtual things going on. We don't have real life tours yet, etc. The biggest thing we really got going to promote and push that actually does truly make a difference is the drought tolerant grass replacement rebate one, and all these kinds of classes and other information we can give our residents too. So I think it's really clear where we should probably be pushing out information as much as possible to our residents and remind them of this program, and just keep pushing, because that's where we're going to help continue getting our water use down. So anyways, for what it's worth, I'm very happy to see where we're at, and I'm anxious to keep seeing more numbers go up. But thank you very much, and good job on this.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that, is that we need to pay a little more attention to the small lots, because for a long time I was more of the impression that the folks who have the small lots aren't that interested because they don't have that much turf. But I'm learning now that there are more people with the small lots are kind of interested in the California friendly gardens. So I think we need to pay more attention to them. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I appreciate both comments for grass replacement. I completely agree. As far as the small lots, yeah, the garden design workshop, which I mentioned in the previous section, I think is doing a great job at addressing some of those design challenges that people have about large areas, smaller areas. It allows residents to really become creative with whichever space they have available that is currently grass, and really imagine it to be that climate appropriate landscape. So it's really encouraging to see. I was able to attend one of the first garden design workshops, and it's really helpful for residents that are kind of imagining their space. It's actually one thing that is mentioned, if I may share, that is mentioned during the class, is that once you remove the grass and you actually stand there, you realize how much bigger what appear to be a smaller lot actually is. You have so much space now to be creative and place different plants in the area. So thank you for those comments once again. Moving on into, if there are no further questions, sorry, into Cash for Kitchens. Those updates begin on board packet page 174. And West Basin staff is collaborating, of course, with program partners Green Media Creations and the South Bay Cities Council of Governments, and completed the following activities in April of 2021. At this time, I will kindly ask Hesa to bring up the Cash for Kitchens postcard that I will talk about in a few of these updates, through these updates. The Green Media team created 2 new motion graphics videos to support the program activity and continue promotion across social media channels. And the postcard on screen here will be utilized to promote the program to restaurants, hotels, golf courses, schools, and other commercial kitchens across the service area. I could go on with the list, but those just include some of the target sites that we're considering. This is a postcard that we would hopefully send out in June to promote the program and continue the outreach activities conducted by Green Media for the water efficiency surveys and the new program website that was launched. They did, of course, conduct some outreach in the month of April, but we hope to mail this out to the targeted list to engage them and continue promoting the significant rebates and also the free water saving devices that are offered through the Cash for Kitchens program. Thank you, Hesa, for sharing this on the screen. We can return back to the board packet page 174 to continue with the updates for Cash for Kitchens. Staff was able to identify a feature opportunity with SoCal Gas, which is also expanding their webinar opportunities and educational materials for restaurants. Staff attended their latest webinar, Rebates, Incentives, and Savings for your food service operations, where information on the Cash for Kitchens program was presented by their team. A full program report is also included on board packet page 180 with updates to all of the Cash for Kitchen program metrics. Lastly, for the Ocean Friendly Garden section, beginning on board packet page 175, staff is collaborated with the public information and education team to complete updates and edits to the West Basin Ocean Friendly Garden webpage. So changes included adding training webinars that we developed for the program and also updating some of the garden information on that webpage. West Basin staff is addressing additional resources that will be offered for ocean-friendly garden sites and staff moving forward. So current concept ideas include additional webinars, on-call landscape maintenance services, and design assistance. And we will bring these items to the program update in a future meeting to highlight any additional resources planned in the new fiscal year for ocean-friendly gardens specifically. That is my last update, and I am happy to take any questions you may have. Thank you so much.
Director Houston?
No questions. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Next item.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I love that postcard, by the way. It did have the logo and the divisions listed, so keep that going. Let's see here. Our final item on the information calendar is item 6D, the water bottle filling station update for May 2021. And we have our water policy and resources analyst too, Tammy Hulai, here to present on this one. Hand over to you, Tammy.
Thank you, Patrick, and good afternoon, Chair Williams, Director Houston, and members of the board. So today's presentation, I will provide a status overview on recent activities related to this program. In prior months, I had reported on several activities that involve outreach and communications and marketing this program. Our general manager has included this item on his regular communications with city managers. And we have also worked with the South Bay Council of Government to include mention of the program in the winter edition of the quarterly newsletter. So overall, between West Basin staff and the South Bay COG, this has truly been a collective effort in promoting the program. So we can start on slide 3, which is on page 186 of the packet. And this list shows the installation status. There are a few that are still pending. St. Philomena and Rolling Hills Estates are pending. Regarding the city of Lomita, we have confirmed that their second station has been installed inside of the community room located at Lomita Park, and we have designed signage for the production. For the city of Redondo Beach, they have needed to perform some major construction activities in that area. So for the water bottle filling station, they are anticipating to have it installed during the late summer months. Regarding Culver City, we've been notified that they have just completed construction at West Park. So they're very excited about that. As of today, this is installed and no longer pending. For Culver City Unified School District, they are managing a variety of schedules to support their phased reopening. The water bottle filling stations have not been installed yet. They're still pending. And El Segundo has their stations installed. So next on slide 4, page 187 of the packet, this shows a few agencies that we are preparing signage for. And these include the City of Lawndale, Los Angeles Unified School District, Manhattan Beach Unified School District, Palos Verdes Unified School District, and the City of Lomita. And so these signs will include each agency's logo along with West Basin's logo. And we're getting those out and getting them sent to the agencies. Moving on to page 189. The next slide shows a list of the applications that we have approved. And this review process includes an evaluation panel of staff within the water policy and public information departments. And this is a collective effort to ensure that each application meets the goals and objectives of the program with a thorough review. For the City of Lawndale, their location will be indoors at the Lawndale Community Center. And we have mailed them a payment for the purchase of the station. For the City of Gardena, we are currently processing payment for their purchase. And to clarify, this will be for an indoor style station. It will be located next to the front doors of their auditorium. And for the City of Malibu, they will have the outdoor station installed near the new skate park. And we have mailed them their payment to the city for the purchase of their installation. And the next slide and the final page of the packet shows where we are right now with the program budget. Also, we just received applications from the Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District, and staff is evaluating their request. So we will keep you posted on that. And that concludes this report. Again, we will keep you updated on progress with this program.
All righty, thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. So once they get installed, we normally do some sort of promotion or outreach or what have you. So I didn't see status on any of these, but what's the status of once these are installed and signage is up and, you know, getting a chance to go out and get some pictures and do what we need to do with our local
Right. Right. So typically what we do is we ask that we have a after photo that shows the station's been installed, of course, and that their sign has been affixed. And then we reach out and we schedule an opportunity for the director to meet with their official representing that agency, so we can do, promote the area and the program, and look forward to working together and promoting a great environmentally friendly program. So we will be following up on these that have been recently installed. So recently, in the recent discussions that I've had with several agencies, they're very hesitant to schedule anything right now. They don't want to lock anything down because everybody is still, under the pandemic, and a lot of agencies have not been open for a long time, so they've been very hesitant. So, I recognize that, but I'll certainly be following up with them in the coming weeks just to kind of touch on that area and see if we can get some photo opportunities in the near future. And we'll certainly keep you posted on that and look at your schedule compared to theirs and see what we can work out.
Okay, great. Because I think what we should do, still keep like a column for pending, the photo ops and what have you. Some of these are outdoors too, right? So, quite honestly, I'm willing to go when people are comfortable and get the photo taken care of at some point. I usually try and have, if the city council members are there or the school board members, most of the people that I represent will probably be safe and comfortable. Obviously, we'll work staff to staff. I'm not saying this has to be done tomorrow, but what I'm saying is in the next 2, 3, 4 months, these things are installed. I think personally, I'd love to get out and see some of my folks and get some photos done so we can get this promotion out there. And I also want to remind staff, please let's not forget some of the ones that got put in place maybe a year or two ago, because I don't know if those ever got the recognition, and they're not on these lists anymore. But there's Michael's Learning Place, there's a couple of other places. If it's going to happen, if the people who installed these are willing to allow us to do that, then by all means. But for me in Division 4, I would ask staff reach out and just keep me posted. And then look, if it's 2 or 3 months, we'll go do it. But a lot of these are outdoors, they're at parks. And, the city council members and most of my division and school board members are pretty much like myself. We are able to get out, able to take photos, able to be safe and healthy. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm ready when they're ready. Okay. And if you need my help, Tammy, you just let me know. I'm happy to help reach out. But I can tell you, again, they're anxious. And this is a great program. And by the way, unfortunately, I do see we just didn't get a lot of play in it this year, and I know it's hard. 2 other things really fast. I wrote this down. One, I think a good idea is when, you may already do this, when someone's talking to the COG, because that is all the local electeds, right? Maybe, if it's one of our staff or someone could just remind those local electeds we have this program, because a lot of times then they'll tell their public works director or they have an idea themselves. So that might be just a thought to just remind them, straight up to the electeds that, hey, we got this program. If you're going to replace something, here's an option. And 2, replacement has I thought about that too, because, during this pandemic, I'm out about a lot outdoors. So whether I'm up in, the Blair Hills or I'm down in Manhattan Beach, there are a lot of different outdoor drinking water filling stations, and there's some of them are newer and some are older. So maybe that's an idea too, is we reach out to some of these cities and say, you know, if you've got some old ones you're thinking to replace, we have this program. Maybe it wasn't on their radar, but now it might be, just to help us continue getting the dollars spent. So it's just an idea. And, you know, again, I just don't want this money sitting here not getting utilized at some point, but I know that we've done a great job the last 2-3 years doing this. So anyways, thank you. And thank you, Mr.
Yeah, it's a
Chair.
great idea. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Other directors? Hearing none, and that's it. Let's move on. Mr. General Manager.
General Manager, yes. We do not have a closed session today, Chairman Williams.
Okay,
Brings us to item number 8, which is Director comments, future agenda items.
Director comments. Hearing none. I think we are adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you for all the great input. Thank you, staff. Fabulous job today.